You'd asked about UFOs. I've seen three. Two of them were within a few weeks of each other back in the early 90s. And, what I classify as a UFO, I'm not one of those people that goes out and every light I see in the sky I think is a UFO. I mean, there are things that are obviously, human technology. There are things that are different things. But the ones I saw, one was a light that I saw hanging in the sky. I was working a job at that time. I was pretty young, working two jobs. One of the jobs I was in and out of a building all night long, and there was this light in the sky that was kind of the shade of a street light, kind of that yellowish tint of a street light that was just hanging in the sky all night as I was working. And I lived about 15 miles from where I worked, and down a major highway there in Kansas City. And this thing followed me along the highway, along the tree line, all the way back to my apartment. My apartment was right on the highway, up in a hill overlooking it. So I got to my apartment, left the lights out, went out on my deck, and waited, and this thing drops below the horizon. So it was late at night, got something to eat, I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden it pops up again. I see it pop up again across the horizon, come over the highway, come over the parking lot of our apartment complex, still just this single light, and then it lights up, and you could see this thing was much larger than it had appeared earlier, with all multi-different colored lights. And what was odd is there were some people standing in the parking lot. The lights were reflecting on the parking lot. They didn't seem to really notice what was going on. I stood there for about 30 seconds, kind of with my jaw hitting the ground, and then this thing shot off to the southwest. I mean, no noise, no anything, just way faster than anything that you would ever see a human craft do. So that was the first one I saw. About 5 or 6 weeks later, I had the exact same experience, except when I got back to the apartment, this thing went way up high and then blinked out to kind of a bluish color and kind of blended in with the stars. In fact, if I hadn't seen what it did, it would have looked like one of the stars.
Right.
And so that was really bizarre. The third one was a number of years later. I was on my way back actually from a business trip to New York, flying into O'Hare. Late at night, and we were over Lake Michigan waiting to land, and there was a half circle of commercial jets waiting to land, and up from the lake, up from below us, came this bright light being chased by something that was obviously a fighter jet, and this light was just maneuvering in ways that were just crazy. The jet was not able to keep up with it, was not able to maneuver with it, and eventually it shot straight up. But what I found really intriguing about that, on top of the fact that this thing was doing things that the jet couldn't match, is this was all going on in the middle of a commercial air pattern. And I find it a little hard to believe that the military was conducting some sort of a planned exercise that was taking them right in the middle of 8 or 10 planes getting ready to land at O'Hare. So those are my three UFO stories.
Pretty incredible, actually. I wanted to ask you, I didn't want to interrupt, but the first one where the street light looking, came out over the parking lot, when it came towards you from the horizon, did it get bigger?
Well, all I could see until it got over our parking lot and hovered for about 30 seconds was just that small street light shape.
Right.
And then when the other lights lit up, you could see, thinking back now, I don't know, I would say it was maybe 20, 25 feet across. I really couldn't determine the shape that well, but there were a number of lights that all seemed to be on the bottom and the sides of it, red, green, blue lights, all multicolored lights.
Wow.
And no noise. But you could see the lights on the parking lot. Like the lights were blinking and you could see them flashing on the parking lot.
Wow, that's incredible. Any reports in the news?
I looked. There was nothing at the time. I've asked online, a number of years later if anyone had seen anything around that time, and nothing that I ever saw. And at that time, I didn't even think to report it to MUFON or anything. But
right. What year?
Yeah.
What year did this sighting happen?
This was 1991.
1991. Very interesting sighting. That's really, really, really cool.